Hey, welcome back to Classy and Sassy. So, today I want to talk to you about something that I keep seeing online. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. It's this pattern where a woman comes forward with proof or with receipts, as they like to say. She's not guessing. She's not usually necessarily emotional, not vague. She's clear. She has screenshots, messages, timelines, receipts. And for a second, it seems like, okay, everything's out in the open now. This should be pretty straightforward. And then somehow it's not. Because instead of things being acknowledged for what they are, the conversation starts to shift. And I've been watching it happen over and over. A woman will come forward, everything's laid out, organized, time-stamped. Honestly, better documented than some legal cases. Like, we're not guessing, we are presenting exhibits at this point. And still, the reactions are not exactly what you expect. Because here's what's interesting. When we as women say something and we don't have receipts, people will often say, well, why didn't she say anything? Or why didn't she show proof if she had it that this happened? But the moment we do have receipts, now it's, why is she putting her personal business on the internet? We don't know the full story. It was his side. This should have been handled privately. It was none of our business. And it's like, okay, which one is it? Because it seems like no matter what a woman does, she still becomes the problem. And this is where it gets really noticeable. The focus shifts. It stops being about what actually happened. And somehow it starts being about how she responded to what happened. So now we're analyzing her tone, her timing in bringing this up, her decision to speak about it. Now she's doing too much. She's being dramatic. She's trying to ruin this man's life. Meanwhile, there are literal receipts sitting right there. But somehow, that's no longer the main issue. And what I've realized is that not everything gets denied outright. Sometimes people just minimize it. It wasn't that serious. You're blowing this all out of proportion. That's not what really happened. And it's subtle because they're not fully denying it. They're just trying to make it seem smaller. And if you can make something seem small, you don't have to take full accountability for it. And this is the part that really stands out. Because you would think with the proof, it would lead to accountability. But a lot of times it does not. What it does is it makes some people uncomfortable. And instead of sitting with that discomfort, it gets redirected. It gets deflected, questioned, and reframed into something easier to dismiss. So now it's not about what happened anymore to her. It's about what people are willing to acknowledge. And let's talk about this for a second. To handle it privately. Because I do think there's a little nuance here. Everything doesn't need to be brought to the internet. That's true. But let's not pretend that every situation gets handled fairly when it's kept behind closed doors. Sometimes people speak up publicly because nobody was really hearing them privately. Sometimes they bring receipts because their words weren't being believed. And even then, it still gets questioned. So at some point you have to ask, was it ever really about the method that she brought it? Or was it always going to be a problem, regardless to whether she said it in private or in public, you were going to have a problem with it? And once you start looking at this as a pattern, not just isolated situations, it becomes a lot clearer. This isn't just about one person or one situation. It's about how quickly the narrative shifts, how easily the focus moves away from action and onto the reaction, and how often the person bringing the truth forward somehow ends up being the person that's under the microscope. And I think one of the biggest takeaways is this: having your receipts does not always change the outcome. They just remove the confusion. After that, it's not about what happened anymore. It's about what people choose to accept. And once you understand that, you start watching these situations a little differently. You're less surprised and you're more aware. All right, you guys, that's all I have for this one. But I would love to know your thoughts on this because I know you've seen it too. Make sure you're following, sharing all the things, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.